Hey friends, we are looking at the Lumibricks Luna Cottage. It's their set number 10014 with 2,846 pieces. And I thought I'd start off just showing you how beautiful it is in the dark with the lights. As usual, this is a Lumibricks set that comes with a custom light kit, but it's a little bit special because it also has a audio chip in it. And so we'll talk about that audio chip and how it's actually customizable and how it works. And then we will do a deep dive and take a look at every floor, look at the different lighting. Some of this lighting pulses, like this room over here. We'll take a look at the tarot card that it comes with. I'm sorry, it's not a tarot card. It's a astrological card. And we will also put it side by side with the Sylvan Inn, which is one of my favorite builds. All right, so this is how it looks with the lights in the room off and with the lights in the model turned on. All right, let's turn the lights on so we can get a better look at the actual model. All right, so we have the lights on. What are we looking at here? This is the Luna Cottage, and it's considered a, what do they call it? They call it an astrological cottage run by a character that's named, and that character is Vera, who's right here. We'll take a closer look at the characters in a moment. But the main thing to point out is that the primary cottage building is on a 45-degree angle. It's quite stunning how they've accomplished that. And I'll show a top-down photo of that in a second. But this is the main house. It's got a bedroom on the top. This main floor here is considered the herbal kitchen, is what they say this is. This side room here is a divination room. This here is the healing pavilion. And then inside of it is a sound bowl and gong. And we also have a rotating astrological platform that moves and turns as we turn this ball here. So we'll get in a little bit closer. And I do want to show off the card that it came with. This is the astrological card I got. It is the Taurus. It still has a protective sheet on it, so that's the bubbling you see, but it does have this shimmer in there too. You see almost like a holographic shimmer, and then it says Taurus on there. So it's a nice card. They have, I believe, 12 cards, and there's a lot of conversation on the forums about how to get the other ones. There's a lot of wheeling and dealing going on. A lot of people asking Lumibricks, how do I get more? Can I buy more? You know, that kind of thing. All right, and of course it has a audio feature too. So let's zoom in, let's take a closer look. So starting on the outside of this model, the first thing you see is this Luna Cottage sign. As usual with Lumibricks, everything you see here is print. It's not a sticker. And here is that dial that's on the ground. What do they call that again? Let's see. They call it the rotating astrological platform. So that's there on the bottom. There's this big old ball here that I can turn, and it moves this platform around. And you can see there are these symbols all the way around on the outside of it. I believe those probably align to the 12 astrological symbols. And we have our characters too. So here's Vera. And she actually came with two hair pieces. So one is this rubber hair piece, and the other one is a more rigid plastic. I'm not sure why they gave us two. Not really sure about that. And then you see there is another character here, and I almost think of her as a guest, maybe, that's come here seeking advice or seeking wisdom. And you also get this black cat. I like this black cat a lot. Look at that mold. And it also has a printed collar and printed eyes. It's pretty nice. Oh, and its head rotates. So this, I believe, is a unique new design that is Lumibricks' own design for that animal. And they've included a second one right here that's part of this white statue, and its head turns as well. But it's exact same mold as that black one. They have you put them next to each other, which is interesting. I love the stonework. It's really well done. A lot of it here, partially like pavers, but partially not. So it's kind of this good mix of man-made versus organic. And then speaking of organic, you've got in this area a bunch of mushrooms and a bunch of these little barbs that are just kind of coming out of the ground. A little bit creepy, but maybe that's part of the allure of it. A little bit whimsical as well. These lavender cherry pieces are in there too. Good choice of a light here. It's a little bit hard to tell, but that is actually a lavender color coming from that light, as well as the light that's up here in the corner. This is a lavender color, and they did a good job of creating layering. So the entire platform is, let's see, a plate, brick, and a plate, but they've added this ability to kind of that walks you up towards it. So it's kind of ramped up with this normal regular green that they're using here, and then they have a ramped up area there too. Here's a pavilion that they call the Healing Pavilion. Inside of it, you see these different vessels. There's a bunch in there, a couple places where you can put your minifigure feet. And then there is this gong. What do they call it? It's the sound bowl and the gong. So I believe this is the sound bowl down there, and then this is the gong probably up there. So there's a better look at it. And you can see down at the base of it are the little like sticks that you use to hit the gong with and get the sound out of it. Shaping on this was pretty clever. If you look at the top here, they made a dome but using tusk pieces as well as these other like vine pieces. They all come together to make this a dome and a pavilion without it looking too skeletal. Instead, it actually looks nice, organic, and a little classy too. So they've done a good job there. Behind it, of course, is the tree that's right there. I'm going to show you the sound element next. Here is the battery, by the way. It's 3 AA batteries that go in there, and I've got it running through there, but you can also plug in a USB-C right here in this little sound control card. And that has a piece that lifts up and gives you access to that control card. And here's how it works. So I'm going to go ahead and play some sounds from it. By the way, the speaker is there. That's the speaker for it. And that's where they have you put it. And it's actually quite loud. I have another microphone that I'm going to kind of place close to the speaker, and we're going to hit play. Basically, there's one button, and every time I press that button, it starts one of the 4 pre-recorded tracks that's already built into this sound chip. So let's go ahead and press it once. I'm going to press it again. One more time. Like a crunching outdoor sound. And then this is the hero track. Comes from an influencer based in the UK. It's a special track that was recorded with her. I was able to plug this USB-C port into my MacBook just to see what would happen. And what ended up happening was it mounted it as another drive. I got 2 folders. One folder had the 4 sound files you're hearing just now, and I think they're in an MP3 format, and they had all 4 in there, and they appeared to be modifiable. So if I wanted to, I could delete them out of that folder, or I could modify them. Then there was a second folder, and it was completely empty. I went ahead and dropped a file into that second folder, and what ended up happening was once I pressed this, it only played that file that I had just added. It just overruled or gave preferential treatment to that folder and anything that's in that folder. And I also tried putting like a larger file in there. Maybe I think it wasn't even that big, like 8 megabyte file, and it wouldn't take it. It said there was not enough room. So the file I did put in there was under 1 megabyte, and it did fit. So that was my tinkering with it. And then I was a little concerned. I was like, how come it's not playing the original 4 anymore? Which then I took and I backed up to my MacBook. Once I deleted the file that I had put in there, then it deferred back to the first folder with the 4 songs or 4 tracks that it came with, and then it restored those tracks. But yeah, once again, um, here's one of them. It's kind of just this ambient loop, really loud bird and water. Second one is just water. Third is walking through the forest with maybe leaves crunching underfoot. And then that final track is this one. Good on Lumibricks for, you know, partnering with this influencer and really thinking differently. I think this is their first set that has an audio chip in it, and they did a great job. And they chose, I think, the right subject matter for it too, because you want to. I mean, it just adds to the overall vibe of this as a set. You want that type of vibe for the songs, and if it's all about sound therapy, then ambient noises, ambient sounds of nature. It's a perfect addition to add to this set. All right, so looking at it now, you can see the front of it has these really beautiful, almost like stained glass looking windows here. And one of them says the sun, and then I think this one at the bottom says the moon. So that's the one that says the sun. This one says the moon at the bottom. And you'll notice that the orb in there is glowing. So there it's fading down, fading back up. I like it when they add those kind of special light effects in there. And there's another light in here that does the same. It's kind of a glowing, pulsing orb. This room here is called the divination room. And you can see it's got that wood door. Neat little builds on the outside. I'm gonna guess these are dream catchers that are out here. Great use of this blue orb that's firing upwards through these gems and different transparent pieces. Some herbs down here at the bottom, window. And then coming around, you'll see that it has a fully purple roof. It's a nicely done roof. And then at the back, again, more herbs. And these panels come off. So we can pull this one off. And what you see is the kind of bookcase of the different herbal, either potions, remedies, medicines. They're all kind of in this ornate bookcase. It's really nicely made, really easy to get out of there too. And then you see here a staircase with these little twigs to kind of keep you from falling off. There is another door here, kind of a creepy door handle. It's using one of those twig pieces for the door handle. But it works for what it is. That's probably perfect for this Luna cottage. And there is one more panel here that comes out. And so it just slides out like that. And it's the whole corner piece. And it's another bookcase. And this time we're looking at stones and gems that are kind of lined up inside of there. With those two pieces out, you get a little bit of a glimpse onto the inside. You see there's a couch there. There is a kind of a plant-like structure back there. There's a coffee table with a purple hat, some sort of a ball on the table. More things on the ground here. So teapot, a bowl, this glowing piece here, and then another kind of storage shelf on the back there as well. And and I like this print that they have right in the center. It's like a rug. And even the doors have doormats on them. I mean, this is the kind of attention to detail you see from Lumibricks. Really good stuff. Let's tilt this up a little bit, and you can see if you're a minifigure, you could also then see the drapes that they built up. So, and then they have some hanging herbs along there. And then up at the very top there, it's a little bit hard to see. Maybe we'll take the second floor off, but it actually has a sign up there as well. And then this door here leads to the divination room. And this kind of like design, attention, this is what sets Lumibricks apart. And they've done a great job here. Let's take this roof off too. It just lifts off like that. So looking inside, get a better look now. There's more dream catchers and a bookshelf with more, other things that are in there, potions, whatnot. There's a candle there on the ground. These potentially, I'm not sure what those cards are. Maybe those are tarot cards. And we'll tilt this a little bit more, get a better look at that purple orb that is pulsating. There's some signage next to the door that you can see there. And here's the door. The door opens a little bit oddly. I don't know if there's really enough space to come in the room with the door the way that it swings, but it works. And I think there's one more poster along that back wall right there. Let's see if we can get it to focus. There you go. Yeah, so one more hanging that's along there. So a lot of detail inside of there, a lot of gems. And I think these circular pieces are meant to be pads that you sit on or kneel on as you're participating in the divination that's happening there. All right, and then coming all the way around, you see that battery box that we saw earlier. Coming to the second floor, good use of this piece. I think this is what you see in those like Technic motorcycles that they've used as a caliper, a brake caliper, like a slotted vented brake caliper. And then I wanted to point out the techniques they used here. I think they did a great job just creating these shaping, especially how they figured out how to put in these brown tiles at a diagonal. Really clever way that they did that, and it's carried through on the other side too. So the walls have a one brick thickness, and that they figured out how to do this on both sides so that the interior is consistent with the exterior's design. So I think they did a great job there. At the front of this cottage, you can see how they figured out the different architectural details. A little bit of gold. Lumibricks takes it easy with the gold, unlike Fantasy loves their gold, but Lumibricks is a little more restrained. I do like the light that they hid back here, just to put some light down onto the rest of the front of the face. And good use of these dark brown pieces to just kind of give it some personality. And then this is stunning right here. This is a I don't know what you call it. Is it a canopy piece? You know, this is what you would see in a Star Wars set on the front of a TIE fighter, but they've added this beautiful print along the top of it, and the whole thing is molded in a transparent, clear color. And so the kind of purple you're seeing is actually this print in there. And then opening it up, you can see into that second floor. And then the last thing to show up here is, you know, this golden spire, really nice. And some of the other things, they went ahead and put some leaves up here, you know, just to, you know, it's out in the forest. These roof pieces do lift right off as well. So on both sides, you just, yeah, and then there you go. The roof pieces lift off, and that gives you access to the inside. So here on the inside, we see that there is a chandelier. There is one light, and that's that one right there. The other ones are just there for show. You can see the top there of the drapes. There's another light in there, and that shines a light through to kind of help light up that dome. So here, just peeking inside, we can see that there is a bed, and it's got kind of that frame around the outside. It's got curtains so that you can have some privacy. Those gems in front of that window are pretty cool. And then there's stonework right in the center. And then along the side here, I'm not sure what that is. It almost looks like a cat playground along that back side, right? Doesn't that look like something that you would have your cat go ahead and play on, like a play structure? So that's kind of what that looks like. So the cat gets its own living space and place to hang out. Speaking of cats, if you look at the top of that bed, it's got a cat design on the bed blanket or comforter. And then there's a tiny desk build along the side there too. And again, one of these doors with the twig handles as well. And then you can see how the interiors follows through on the design from the outside. So you don't get any weird colors on the inside. You don't get any weird colors on the outside. It's pretty consistent. Here are the two sets side by side, the Sylvan Inn on the left and the Luna Cottage on the right. So final thoughts, I think Lumibricks did a wonderful job with this. This set People love it in the fan groups that I've seen, and at first I was a little bit skeptical because it did look like there wasn't a lot going on, but I feel like this is a really good companion set to the Sylvan Inn. It has a lot of that same kind of purple aesthetic, and it's part of their Retro House series. Those are typically ones that are a little bit one-off-ish. They stand on their own as different kinds of architectural builds, and they've done a great job here. And the more that I've lived with it, it's a tidy, small build. I love that they figured out how to build on a diagonal. This is the first time I've ever built on a diagonal. I know that there's other sets that do that, and I've just never had the chance to experience it. But the math involved was mind-boggling. I don't know how they figured it out, but it's in there. It's in there solid. Um, I don't believe it's broken any rules as far as Lego engineering or the placement of bricks goes. So it works really well, and the diagonal is convincing and it's stunning, and it's something that people will recognize. The addition of the sound chip, great addition. It is a smart addition, and it's super loud. So it's something you can show off pretty easily to your friends. The other thing I almost forgot to mention is this USB-C that's in this corner here. You can actually power the whole thing through it. So you can disconnect your AA battery pack. You can take this out and you could just plug USB-C into it if you want to, and it could power everything, including the sound and the lights. So that's an alternative method. That USB-C then serves two purposes, basically. One is power and the other is a computer interface so that you can customize the audio to your liking. All right, so there you go. Like the video if you like it, hit subscribe. I'll be able to keep sharing interesting sets like this. Thanks so much.